6 months ago, I did a major declutter of my wardrobe, getting rid of 60 to 70% of what I owned. From my jewelry collection, to my clothing, to my shoes and accessories and makeup. 60 to 70% of items I decluttered. So fast forward to now, here are some style lessons I've learned since my declutter. I made a video like this when I was decluttering that talked about lessons I learned while decluttering. You know, getting rid of stuff, what stuff I wasn't wearing, what patterns I was seeing. But now I want to talk deeper. This is about how decluttering has given me so much more style clarity and also being more intentional about clothing, wardrobe, and style. Not only does being more intentional about our wardrobe save us money, where we're not buying things as often, it also allows us to bring to life the best version of ourselves. Clothing can do that, and by decluttering, we're just eliminating all the distractions that we don't want. So let's get into today's video. The first wardrobe lesson really surprised me, but after decluttering, I had less clothes, but I found myself to be so much more creative, and ultimately, because I was more creative, I had better outfits. This is something that you may have heard someone say before, but I feel like you don't really believe it until it happens. I had one of those aha moments after decluttering, and I was mixing and matching. I was putting together accessory combinations I had never worn before. I was wearing pairings that I just never got around to because previously I had so many clothes, so many options, and genuinely I was just having more fun getting ready that my outfits were better. When I talk about decluttering, making my everyday outfits better, I am really talking about the subtleties of an outfit. I'm not saying that suddenly they were really cool and glamorous and so unique, but rather I paid attention to the details, and that is what overall elevates a look. So suddenly I was accessorizing more. I had more jewelry combinations that I would never have worn before. I paid attention to how things worked together more. It's really in the details that I think outfits come together. The next thing I noticed after decluttering is that I started shopping less. And it's not that I was shopping less because I was holding myself back. It was simply that I had new standards and a new vision for what I wanted my wardrobe to be. And most things in the shops, in the stores, do not meet that standard. I'm sure we've all been into a store where we were really excited and then we left kind of underwhelmed because everything was just average in quality. Everything was a little bit too expensive for the quality, and it just feels like our standards are higher than what the shop is offering. Too often I feel like that in the shops because the quality is just quite poor, but especially after decluttering, I could see now the standard that I wanted my wardrobe to be, and since most of the clothing out there doesn't meet that expectation, I just simply do not have that same passion to shop as often as I used to. As a fashion YouTuber, does this mean I don't shop at all? No, I am definitely still shopping, but just the amount is so much less than it used to be, and that has been something very powerful that's come out of this declutter. When you are decluttering, you want to learn about your style. So you want to create vision boards, you want to understand through the pieces you're getting rid of and the pieces you're keeping what your current vision is. I've learned that the more clear we are on our vision, the more we know what we want our style to be, the less we buy. Because of all the clothing out there, only a few items will appeal to us. Whereas when we don't know our style, we just like pretty things and maybe like a lot of the clothes we will want. So decluttering really clarified my style vision. It removed distractions and it's made me shop a lot less because I now know what I'm looking for, and most clothing doesn't meet that. When we're decluttering, one of the reasons it's so hard to let go of things is because we had spent time, money, and energy on finding that item. And when we sell it, when we donate it, obviously we're parting ways with that. I've been trying to see it like this. If I have a top in my wardrobe that's $100, let's just say I never ever reach for it, it's been like 3 years. Even if I can sell it for $5, for $10, it is still better than it having $0 value in my wardrobe. I'm still getting $5, I'm still getting $10 from it. It's something, and if you're donating it, at least someone else can enjoy it. There is some value there. Whereas the clothing sitting in our wardrobe, for me, is not only $0 value if I'm not wearing it, it's also taking up precious space in my one-bedroom apartment. In this way of thinking, I now find it so much easier to part ways with things because I'm still getting more value than if that item was just stored away, never getting worn. And with the money you get from selling off, unworn pieces, you can put it to other items that you have been thinking about for a long time. You can treat a friend to something new, you can do whatever you want, but it is still so much more than if that item was just sitting there, taking up space, and offering zero value. Something I've been asking myself before every purchase is, what is this item going to do for me? How is it going to actually elevate, improve my life that I'm going to part ways with my money for it? So example, if I'm buying a white t-shirt, is this actually going to make my life easier because now I have a few to rotate through? Is this elevating my style because this t-shirt fits me so much better than what I have? Or is this item just going to fill up my drawer and I have to dig through my stuff more to get to the t-shirt I want? This is a really obvious example, but it's not always as obvious. Sometimes adding in a dress we like but maybe don't love is actually going to clutter up our space. It's going to make us feel a bit guilty because we have more dresses than we need, and it actually weighs on us. So then why am I spending money for something to weigh on me? As someone who has a tendency to overthink, I'm an INFJ, these are some of the things running through my head. On the flip side though, sometimes I'm looking at something like a piece of jewelry or an accessory, and what it's doing for me is that it really makes me happy when I wear it. Really sparks joy when I just catch a glimpse of it during the day when I'm working away, and that for me is kind of the best kind of purchase. Sometimes because something is really beautiful, it also makes getting dressed easier. I get ready faster, I feel more polished, improves my mood, things like that, then it's worth it. This tip is all about checking in with myself to see whether an item is improving my life or whether an item is making me feel guilty and cluttering my space and overall negative. After I decluttered, there were also lots of little habits and little things I noticed in my wardrobe as well. One thing I started doing more of is that I started to go to the tailor more. And it's because I had fewer pieces, so it felt worthwhile to make the items fit as I wanted them to. So sometimes a pant was just like a little long, but not long enough that I had to shorten it. But I knew that if I shortened it, it would be so much more flattering with the shoes I had. So then I actually bothered going because I realized I was going to wear this item all the time. When you have a huge wardrobe, you know you're not going to wear it that often. Whereas a smaller wardrobe, you could wear the item all the time. So then it feels right to get the details correct. And then it's a cycle where now the details are correct, the clothes are more flattering, and now every time I wear that item, it's just elevating all my outfits, styling that piece. From decluttering, I realized that one of my best wardrobe purchases is vintage, estate, antique jewelry. And let me explain this. I decluttered a lot of stuff. Most stuff does not hold on to value at all. But something that does is antique, estate, vintage jewelry. Because I'm buying a secondhand that when I sell it, it's almost at the same price. With gold going up in price, sometimes it's just as much as I paid for it. And I love that because, someone's passing it on to you, you can enjoy it. When you do want to let go of it, there's no real guilt to it, and you can just pass it on to someone else who's going to enjoy that for a long time. It feels very cyclical, but also these jewelry pieces are so special, they're so unique. You're not going to find pieces in stores like this. And selling my pieces made me realize that this is always a good buy, whereas new jewelry, it's not the same. This is really just practical advice, but when you're buying new jewelry and then if you ever change your mind, you're definitely not getting most of that value back. Whereas estates, vintage, antique, you could definitely get most of that value back. If you hold it for long enough, I think you could get all of it back, especially with gold prices rising. I don't think anything in my wardrobe held value like vintage, estate, antique jewelry did. Something very practical that came out of decluttering is that I've started to use Pinterest more. I mean, really, as I decluttered, my Pinterest usage went up in the same way. And the reason is I suddenly found myself wanting to get new inspiration of pieces I owned. So if I had an item in my wardrobe, I like it, but I'm getting a bit sick of it, I just go onto Pinterest and I find ways that people have worn it that is different to how I imagine it being worn, or different to how I would normally style it. And then bam, I have so much inspiration to work with for the future. I also approach this inspiration completely differently. I used to save things that were just pretty pictures, you know, nice to look at. But the way I use Pinterest these days is that I actually bring what I save to life. On my hair board, I'm getting styling inspo that actually make me consider getting my hair cut that way. I have jewelry inspo and I'm actually working to recreate the stacks, making it actually happen in my life. That's kind of the point of inspiration. Whereas in the past, I was just saving these things for the sake of it and never ever spending the time to bring it to life. So this has been so inspiring, and it really helps you create that vision you have for yourself and make it happen. That's the most important thing. Another wardrobe lesson I have truly learned is the power of having less choices. So the more choices I have, the more I have decision fatigue, the more I am exhausted by the options and the process of getting ready, which should be nothing but fun. Now it actually is fun. I have fewer options, so it really is whether I want to wear my favorite blue dress or whether I want to wear my favorite white dress. But there's only a couple that would work for different occasions, and it's just like fun choosing which one without being weighed down by options. I used to think options would do the opposite, where it will make me get ready quicker, I'll have more fun, but it's really not. I was so weighed down by like not knowing what to wear, whereas now I know there's only 3 options, so I gotta choose one of them. It's not just clothing, it's also shoes. Which shoe am I gonna wear? Sometimes I just have the one choice, so I know exactly which one I'm going for. It's really things like this where decluttering just simplifies my life in the best way possible. And the best part is that I'm never less stylish than I used to be. If anything, I feel more stylish because I put my time and effort into combining things rather than deciding what to wear. Deciding whether I want to wear dress A versus dress B does not make me more stylish. It's more about how the outfit comes together, and now I can spend my time and energy here. So on this topic, in the last 6 months or so, I've also come up with go-to outfits that I can always rely on. So if you invite me to a wedding, it's options A, B, or C. If you want me to go grab coffee in like 10 minutes, I kind of have a go-to outfit for that. Really basic, but I'm done. Exercise class and then grab dinner, got an outfit for that. The thing is, most of the time, I enjoy putting together outfits. So I'm not necessarily always wearing these backup outfits. Fashion is one of those things where it's meant to enrich my life. I'm meant to have fun with it. When it feels like a burden, when it feels like a chore, go-to outfits, done. If you're looking to declutter your wardrobe, something I've learned is that it really has to be about you. Don't follow formulas. You should only have 10 tops, 5 bottoms, whatever. No, you want to keep everything that sparks joy in you. So if you have 10 navy sweaters and you genuinely love them all and you wear them all, there's no reason to get rid of a single one for the sake of decluttering if you don't have a problem with it. The problem arises when we have 10 navy sweaters and we're feeling guilty about it because we're not wearing all of them. Or we have 10 but we only love 2. Then it's a really good reason to declutter, but if you genuinely love all 10, keep it. When we let rules shape our declutter, sometimes we end up getting rid of things we love. So don't do that, but really see what the clothing is doing for you and then let that decide what you are going to let go of. Same thing with color. Sometimes it can feel like because we only wear that color once every month or once every quarter, we should get rid of it. But if it brings you a lot of joy every time you wear it, keep it. I have colorful items I wear all the time, so definitely keeping. But I also have colorful items that I don't wear all the time, but I love. So then it's worth keeping. So really deciding, tailoring this to yourself and not following specific guides is the way to go. There's no such thing as too little or too much if it's what you want. I've talked about this quite a lot, but asking myself, if I could only have one, would this be it? I will keep on saying this because this is always at the forefront of every decision I make shopping-wise. And it extends from makeup to clothing, it extends to homeware, bedding, everything. Even bedding, like I have 2 sets, That's it. I just rotate. Asking this question kind of stops my search. It's not like I buy a black dress and I'm still looking for another black dress. It ends there because I've gotten the black dress of my dreams. I stop looking. When something else just as nice comes along, I'm not really as tempted because I've got a really, really good one. And it ends the search there because I've already said to myself that was the one I preferred the most. And I don't want to go back on my own word either. So it's a powerful thing. Even for makeup, I'm always like trying to test this out a few times before I buy. And then asking myself, is this better than all the other ones I've tested? And if not, no. The final thing is about something that has crossed my mind since decluttering. Since I've been trying to glow up, improve my style, improve different facets of my life, I've been thinking about how, especially if you're introverted, clothing is such a powerful thing in expressing the person we want to be and in bringing that person to life. If you're an extroverted person, I think there is a lot you can rely on in your communication, in your person when you meet someone new. As an introverted person who is not very chatty, not very talkative, takes me a while to feel comfortable. I find clothing to be one of the ways that I can express myself without necessarily saying a lot. Sometimes we only have a few moments when we meet someone and we can't express everything about ourselves, but clothing is a tool in helping us do that. It's not the only thing. There is our person, our communication, our everything, but clothing is a tool. And seeing it that way, I find very helpful in figuring out exactly what my vision is for what I want to wear, because I want to present myself in a certain way and then I want the clothing to reflect that. If we think about personal style, why we should bother cultivating this, it ultimately comes down to how we want to present ourselves to the world. What makes us feel happy? What do we enjoy wearing? What makes us feel authentic? And clothing is ultimately to bring that vision to life. There are so many ways to view clothing, but I've always seen it as wearing the things that bring me joy, wearing the things that feel authentic to my taste and my vision, and make me feel confident and happy in the clothes. And then I can express outwards as well through my clothes, my mood, my feeling, and present myself in the way I want to. It is a form of communication in that sense, what we wear. So this is 6 months after my declutter. Here are some of the things I learned. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Hope you have a lovely week and I'll see you next one. Bye.